We're live. Good afternoon, everyone. Chef Mark with Poached Factory, and you're back in my home. It's day 4 of cooking from home. I hope you're enjoying the daily cooking lessons. You can catch all of these on YouTube at my YouTube channel, which is Chef Mark Calix at Poached Factory, Mattress Kingdom. Their YouTube channel. It's in the archives. I'm going to be doing this every day for certainly this week and maybe into next week too. So I hope you're enjoying this. Make sure you put your questions in the comments. If you have any questions during the video, go ahead and punch them into the comment box there. I'll do my best to answer them while I'm cooking. Today, breakfast for dinner. So I mentioned yesterday, and I mentioned the last 2 days, that we want to think about our next 2 meals. That's really going to help you out, either utilizing what you have kicking around in the refrigerator or the pantry, or thinking about what you're going to make not only tomorrow but the next day. You know, the grocery list that goes for a week, like I know what I'm going to cook all week, that's great too, but for me, I almost think it's overwhelming to think, okay, it's Monday, what am I making Thursday, Friday? I might have a rough idea, but I kind of prefer to think 2 days out in advance. And for me, sometimes I'll just go and I'll walk through the grocery store and I'll buy what looks good, what's fresh, what's on sale, and then I'll figure it out later. Like in the future, I'll figure out what am I going to make. So if I've got tomatoes and peppers and onions and broccoli and cauliflower and celery, and I got all this fresh produce, it's a safe bet that I'm going to be able to figure out how to utilize that stuff, whether I'm cooking chicken or pork or beef or even having a vegetarian meal. I'm going to figure it out. So let me wash my hands and we'll start some cooking. Of course, CDC guidelines, wash your hands for 20 seconds, and I'm sure you guys have been washing your hands so it hurts. That's good. You know, keeping 6 feet of distance. You know, today is the first full day of the statewide shelter in place, and I'm doing my very, very best to comply with that. And I did have to drive and go pick up some hand sanitizer for Poached Factory earlier today. I was quite frankly shocked at how few cars are on the road. So I'm glad to see that people are taking the shelter in place seriously. And hopefully if we all do our part, we can get back to business sooner than later. So I'd like to thank King Supers for doing a great job, staying open, keeping the shelves stocked. My friends over at Standard Restaurant Supply, they're open and supply restaurant supply store. They had hand sanitizer. So I purchased some from them. They have gallons and they have little squeeze bottles. And then I was at Restaurant Depot earlier today and they had toilet paper. So I went ahead and got a case of that, but it's those big rolls, it's big commercial rolls. But if you're really worried about toilet paper, you know, you can figure out some way to use that at home if you needed to. So those are some of my vendor partners. I'd like to thank them for working hard, keeping not only me in action, but all of these are open to the public. Restaurant Depot, although they're never open to the public, they are now in response to the virus outbreak. Pretty cool. If you haven't been there before, and if you must venture out for shopping, go check them out. It's really a cool experience to shop there. Okay, yesterday I showed you diced potatoes as my knife skill. So I soaked those in cold water, and we're going to make some potato hash for breakfast. Okay, so these are my diced potatoes, and this is just what I would call a rough dice. You know, when I was in culinary school, I'll be right back, everyone. Here I am. So when I was trash can. When I was in culinary school, when you learn knife skills, you have what's called what we call the Meyer ruler, and we would actually take these dice and we would measure each side and make sure they're perfect. And you learn precision that way, but what you don't learn is speed. When I taught up in Scoffier School in Boulder, by the time I would get my students, they've already been in class for a while. So I would try to turn off their precision and focus more on that hustle. So if you didn't see it yesterday, I went ahead and I diced these potatoes. This is 2 potatoes worth. It only takes a few minutes. I can dice a potato in about 20 seconds. If that seems unreasonable, go back and watch the video because it goes pretty quick. Mise en place for today. What I have put in place: peppers and onions. That's going to be for my potato hash. I've got some eggs. I'm going to poach eggs. I'm going to show you guys how to do eggs over easy as well. I pull my eggs out about 2 hours ago, let them come up to room temperature. Is everything okay with the video there? Yep, okay. Just want to make sure we're still on air here. So I pull my eggs out about 2 hours ago, let them come up to room temperature. They cook a lot more accurately. And in fact, here's a little secret. When I've worked in places that were really well known for brunch, we would pull our eggs out the night before and let them come up to room temperature overnight and then come in the morning and cook them. They poach beautifully, they cook quickly, they cook wonderfully. And I got to scratch our nose, which means I got to wash my hands. And eggs can last a long time unrefrigerated. Here in the States, we wash our eggs. There's a protective bloom when an egg comes out of a chicken. And that enzyme protects the egg naturally. So an unwashed egg can last, oh gosh, I think up to 90 days unrefrigerated. Whereas once the egg is washed, you're supposed to refrigerate them, but in restaurants. In fact, it wasn't until I moved to Denver that I ever refrigerated an egg in a restaurant, ever. I've worked in Pittsburgh and Cleveland and New York City. We never refrigerate our eggs. I mean, we would go through them so quickly. I never saw an egg go bad. So anyways, preheating my pan over here. It's literally smoking hot, which is maybe a little bit too hot. I'm gonna go ahead and start my potato hash here. Let me do some quick knife skills. I'm gonna get that going. Of course, I'm gonna start with the item that takes the longest first, and that's gonna be the potato hash, right? And I'm gonna kick my oven on because I might use it. I might not, but it's good to always have the oven kind of preheating. I should have done that earlier, but I'll go ahead and start that now. That oven, it's not the fastest preheating oven in the world, but you can have some heat in there will help. Okay, seen it a million times now. Slices down, cross cut, and dice. Okay, and there's my diced onion. Here's my diced pepper, cut off bottom and top. You've seen this, guys. Guys, you've seen this a million times. Cut down. I'm going to go ahead and fillet out all the seeds in one shot. All right, it's a lot easier to clean. Boom, right into my trash can, or if you do the compost thing, of course you got that going. I'm going to make slices down. Skin side down when I'm dicing pepper. My knife glides right through. Again, this is a pretty rough cut. I'm not really going for precision here. I'm going nice and rustic on my dice. I don't need to sit there with my Meyer ruler and make sure each piece is perfect to the point where it's taking me too long to make dinner. If you're looking for precision, great, but honestly, for breakfast, it's really any meal that I'm cooking at home. Knife skills. I love working with my knife. It's my favorite part of cooking is knife skills, but there's I think a limit on precision where you just end up slowing down the process. Okay, got my pan preheated. As always, preheat your pan before you start cooking anything. You've seen this every day. It's the same process. Get consistent. Preheat your pan. Add your fat. Bring your pan to your cutting board. Scrape your ingredients right in there. That's faster than picking things up, walking them across the kitchen and dropping them into the pan. That's how the pros do it. It's going to work for us. It's going to work for you. Typically in a restaurant, what will happen is we'll have the range back here, and then when we turn around, we'll have like a cooler with all of our mise en place, so our pre-diced tomatoes and onions and shallots and chopped herbs and sliced mushrooms and everything we need. And it's just kind of a back and forth. Take a hot pan, add your fat, your oil, your butter, garlic, shallots, mushrooms, turn back, get it on the stove, saute, come back, oh, I'm going to throw in my noodles. And it's really just kind of, you watch a good saute cook, and it's almost like they're going to get dizzy because they're just kind of working in circles, all day long. So that's how I set up my kitchen at home. All right, I want to get a little bit of color on that. Throw some salt in there now. A little trick I learned from a chef friend of mine: add your salt good and early. It helps pull some moisture out, particularly with onions. Kind of jumpstart, helps move the cooking process along. Really makes sense. I don't know if that's true or not, but it made sense to me. So that's one of the standards that I do now. And of course, I'm working as I'm going. I love having my dishwasher right under my cutting board, so I can just kind of load stuff as I'm working. I've got my potatoes good and drained. Okay. Into my hash. Right into there. Love that. Hear that sizzle? That's some of that extra water kind of burning it off. So that pan's good and full. So just got to be careful when I'm flipping here. Got it. All right. So remember what we're making tomorrow? If you tuned in yesterday, I'm making spaghetti and meatballs. Okay, so what am I making for tomorrow? I've got ground beef, pound of ground beef. I'm going to do a pound of Italian sausage. I'm going to do my Parmesan cheese, which I'm going to get fresh. Breadcrumbs. You recall earlier in the week, I made focaccia bread. I'm going to grind these up for my breadcrumbs because it's good seasoning on this. Salt, pepper, rosemary. So I'm going to grind this up in my food processor. A couple of eggs. Combination of eggs and breadcrumbs. That's a panada. It's one of the classic binding agents. I'm going to roll these up. But for the spaghetti, I said I got a twist on that. Let me show you what I'm going to do. A little sneak peek on this for tomorrow. My spaghetti is spaghetti squash. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is cut this in half, scrape out the seeds. I'm going to hit it with a little bit extra virgin olive oil, salt, and pepper. I'm going to roast it in the oven. It takes a while. I find 300 degrees for about an hour and a half. That's the trick. But I don't want to overcook it. I don't want it to be mushy. I actually like it to be al dente. So I like to cook it till it just starts to scrape apart. Almost even to the point where it's slightly on the undercooked side, because I'm going to add tomato sauce to that, hot tomato sauce, hot meatballs. So the meatballs I'm going to bake in the oven. Tomato sauce I'm going to pull together on the side. This I'm going to roast, and then we're going to assemble that into one dish. That's my preference with this. That's kind of a little bit more restaurant style. So hopefully you tune in tomorrow for my squash. I'm looking forward to that. It's kind of fun. And that's something that I make in my household a lot. It's a big hit around here. Spaghetti squash and meatballs. It's one of our kind of standard go-to meals. You know, Taco Tuesday is a big hit. Spaghetti squash and meatballs is a big hit. You know, every family's got their thing, so that's what my family likes. Okay, how's my hash doing? Great. Love that. I got good color working here. And I want to make sure that I'm not sticking, which I'm not. A little bit more salt. I'm going to get into the dry spice here. I'm going to do a little bit of red pepper flakes just for some heat. Just a little bit. A little bit goes a long way on this. Don't go crazy with the potato, the red pepper flakes. And what we love is fennel seeds. And I like whole fennel seed. They're rock hard, but when you cook them, they soften up. And of course, fennel seeds got that little bit of that licorice flavor. And if that doesn't appeal to you, keep in mind that's very, very mild. And then I'm going to do some cumin seeds as well, just a little bit. And this one is an open, fresh one. All right, there we go. Just a little bit of cumin seed as well. And beautiful. That's going to give me some nice flavor there. Give this a little toss. Okay, good. I am going to get in there with a spoon because I'm getting a little bit of sticking. I want to make sure that I'm giving this a good stir. Bring this around so you guys can watch. Yeah. Oh, I wish you could smell this. It smells delightful. Oh, yes. Awesome. This pan, is it a little crowded? Yeah, it's a little crowded. A little bit. But we'll stick with it. I'm not gonna change pans right now. This works fantastic in a cast iron pan. It's almost like a cast iron pan was designed for this dish. Or if you got those frozen grated hash browns, you know, same thing. Those work great if you don't want to work with fresh potatoes. But go ahead and work with fresh potatoes, then you get to practice your knife skills like we did yesterday. And again, if you missed it, check it out here at my Facebook page, Chef Mark Alex, on YouTube. Lots of chances to watch that back. Okay, got my eggs. We're gonna poach eggs. I'm gonna do eggs two different ways. I'm gonna poach eggs, and I'm going to flip some eggs and do them over easy. So let me crank on my burner here and bring my water up to a simmer. Oh, should we do bacon? Yeah, we should do bacon. Okay, got a trick on bacon. Okay, so sometimes I have that fancy gourmet bacon. Sometimes I just have the grocery store bacon. This is good old-fashioned grocery store bacon. I'm going to take 2 pieces of bacon here. This is relatively thin cut. The thick cut stuff I like to do in the oven. Put on a sheet pan, stick it in the oven. Takes about 20-25 minutes in a preheated oven, 350 degrees convection. But here's my trick with bacon. The microwave. 1 minute per slice. Works. Your microwave at home might be slightly different, but that's a great guideline. So 2 minutes, okay? And in 2 minutes, I'm going to show you perfect crispy brown bacon. 2 minutes, perfectly rendered. Very little mess to fuss with. Really, really a lovely thing. Okay, this is awesome. Potatoes are looking great. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit more fat in here, and then I am going to throw it in the oven. My oven says it's at about 215, so by the time I get it in there, it'll be right around 350. The nice thing about cooking stuff in the oven like that is it's indirect heat, so it's less likely to burn. Like if you do it the whole way on the stove top like this, I am sticking a little bit, and I could be in the danger of having things burn. So I'm just going to go ahead and stir that butter in, let the potatoes cook a little bit, and then into the oven to finish for my hash browns. Okay. I love breakfast for dinner, but I also love breakfast for breakfast. You know, nothing wrong with that. Okay. My water is at a full boil. Let me show you what I got here. Okay. I don't have a lot of kitchen gadgets. I'm not a kitchen gadget kind of guy, but this is one gadget that I have, and this is a lid by Kunra Khan, a Swedish company, maybe? You could put me on that. Anyways, it's designed, it's got these little flappers here, and if your pot boils over, it flaps through, it cools down, and it drains back in. It's a beautiful way to bring water to a boil. I basically throw all my lids away when I have a new pot or pan because they just take up so much room in my kitchen. And although I have a nice kitchen, I still, you know, we're always limited on space in the kitchen, always. So I just pitch the lids, and I use that one lid for everything. Okay, boom. Got my hash in the oven. My bacon. Ooh, I'll show that to you in a minute. I can't wait to share that with you. Okay, poaching eggs. A little bit of vinegar. Okay, you want to add enough vinegar. I like white distilled vinegar. You want to add enough. You could smell it, and you could even taste it if you were to taste the water. The vinegar helps the egg whites coagulate, which is to say that when you start this process, that the egg white will surround the yolk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack the egg right on the side of the pot, and I'm going to open and then close the shell, and I'm going to have that dropping in. Temperature-wise, I want about 180 degrees, which is to say small little bubbles, just barely breaking the surface. Okay, so that's really important. And let me show you here. I'm just going to do one egg because it's just me. I don't want to waste resources. Okay, so right up against the water. Okay, open and close. Right. If you need to use two hands, go ahead. But I learned one hand years ago, and it works great. And then what I'm going to do is create a little bit of a vortex. I'm just going to give it a little shove just to kind of get things started. And then I'm going to turn that down. Now in a restaurant, what we'll do is take a big pot of water, and I'll bring it to a simmer, maybe like on an induction burner, something that holds temperature really well, and my vinegar. And we just keep adding water to that. And once we get that nice cooking environment and the eggs start coming out perfectly, it can last all day. I mean, we can cook hundreds of eggs in one pot of water. That's kind of the classic way to do. There's some tricks. There's some poached egg machines and things like that. But to me, that's all a band-aid for just doing it the old-fashioned way in a pot of water with a little vinegar. So I'll show you here in a moment what we got going on. It's looking good. Okay, they take about 3.5 minutes. I'll show you how to determine doneness. Let's check out my bacon. All right, watch this. Remember that, 2 minutes in the microwave. Look how gorgeous my bacon is. I love that. This works great for up to 6 or 8 pieces of bacon. Beyond that, if I'm cooking bacon for the whole family, I'll go ahead and fire up the oven and take the 25 minutes to do a pan's worth. It's easier to do bacon. Oh, hi Aspen. Everyone, once again, Aspen, you know, in my house, if you don't want cats, if you don't like cats, don't come over, because there's 2 of them, and they feel like the whole place is theirs, and they just let me live here. But hey, buddy, you know, he's a ragdoll. I rescued him from the Max Fund, which is a no-kill animal shelter in Denver, and I do some volunteer work with the Max Fund, and I'm very fond of them. So I adopted both my boys from them. All right, here we go. All right, Aspen's making another guest appearance. Oop, so my egg is not quite ready. Hey, and I'll tell you why he's up here is because he loves bacon. I'm gonna stick him in his little playpen here so that he stays out of the way. All right, come on, buddy. All right. Okay, I put him in jail because he. I've never met a cat before that liked bacon, but nothing surprises me anymore when it comes to cats, right? Okay. Here's my poached egg. Okay. Lovely. Okay. Let me show you what I'm doing here. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, so how do you know when your poached egg is perfect? And this would be for something like Eggs Benedict, what have you. Okay, so I just push on the yolk and it should push back, right? And you can see how the egg white and any of those little pieces in there, I used the same spoon that I was making the potato hash with. But you can see how the egg white kind of formed like a little bit of a pouch perfectly around the egg. So that means I really have the right amount of vinegar in there. I'll let this cool off a little bit. But this will stay warm for quite a while. So what I'll do when I'm making Eggs Benedict is I don't try to time it out where my eggs, my English muffins and my hollandaise and everything comes out perfectly timed. I get everything ready, but if the eggs are done, I go ahead and I set them on a plate with a little bit of the poaching water, and they'll stay pretty hot this way for longer than you think. So I'll go ahead and I'll let those sit put, right? My hash is almost done. My bacon looks beautiful. Let me throw that on a plate for us. My oven just came up to temp. You can see we're multitasking here. All right, beautiful. Okay, so poached egg. Okay, and you can see here, that's what I'm talking about. So a lot of times I'll just clean it up. But I have this nice pouch, right? So the egg is perfectly encapsulated in the egg white with the yolk right in the middle there. And that is a beautiful poached egg. That's just right. I would say that's when you pierce out with a fork, it's just gonna have that nice running egg yolk without, being undercooked. You can undercook them. The egg white, you want that egg white fully cooked. So if I were to cut into that, an egg white was still a little on the undercooked side, it would need more time. Okay. So for over easy eggs, preheating my pan, I'm using a Teflon pan. If Teflon kind of gets a bad rap, you can use a standard pan, a stainless steel pan, but here's my recommendation. Find a pan that you can use for eggs and only cook eggs in it. Just make it your egg pan and don't cook anything else in it. If for some reason, once a pan is happy cooking eggs, it's always happy cooking eggs. So just don't fight. Just make, I got this pan at Standard Restaurant Supply, Teflon egg pan, and it was $10. And it's the only thing we cook in this house is eggs. That's it. If I see somebody else cooking anything else in that pan, what are you doing? It's the egg pan. It's reserved. Okay, here we go. Crack, crack, crack. Same method. Crack that right into the middle of the pan. I'm just gonna do one egg again, right? Okay, so hear that sizzle? That's good. That means I've got good temperature. Okay. All right. And my heat might be a little on the high side. I've got my spatula here, and what I'm going to do is hold my spatula like a pencil, come in, and just give that a shove. Don't be too gentle with it, right? So you want to give that a nice shove there so that it kind of wants to move on you. And I've got plenty of fat in that pan. Butter helps. What butter will do is, and I don't know the complete science behind this, but apparently, I'm a cook, not a scientist, the proteins in the butter react with the proteins in the eggs and make your egg more durable and fluffy. I guess. I know it to be true, but I'm not quite sure why. If any chemical scientists are out there, please chime in because you probably know. And it's good to know some of the science of cooking and some of the chemistry, but because it helps you understand why things work, but it doesn't necessarily, I wouldn't say like being a professional chemist would make you a better cook. Okay, here's the flip. I got the egg towards the edge of the pan. Can you see there? Okay, and I'm gonna pull back towards me. Voila. Okay, that's the flip. That's it. Then I have this off the heat. I'm just going to let that come up to a little bit of temperature. And that's going to be my my egg over easy. Same thing, identical when I'm making an omelet. I'll show you guys an omelet too. Do we have time? How long have we been at this? We've been on for what, about 20 minutes? Yeah? Okay, and here's my over easy. Okay, look at that. So I think that looks pretty good. I got my bacon, I got my eggs. You know what? I'm going to show you guys an omelet real quick. I'm just going to do a plain egg omelet. Of course, you can put all the stuff in there too. Have your pan preheated. My pan's ready to go, so this will go nice and fast. Okay, a couple eggs. Remember, I like to put my shells right back in the shell container. I got one little piece of egg white in there, or pardon me, eggshell in there. And the best way to get eggshell out is with more eggshell. It just sticks like glue. It's pretty magical, actually. Okay, good. Okay, then grab a fork. This is the right tool for the job. And you're going to vigorously beat your eggs. You don't want to have anything in there that's a little tendrils. Those are called the chalaise. It's basically a spring that holds the egg white to the egg yolk. It's completely edible. You really want to make sure that's completely broken up. Ooh, a little piece of shell in there. Got it? Okay. Got my pan. I'm going to add some fat. My pan's way too hot. Okay. Smoking hot. That's too hot for an egg. So what I'm going to do here is make sure that I have this at the right temperature. I'm just going to wipe this out a little bit too. Make sure I get fresh fat in there. Okay. And if my pan's too hot, this is a really effective way to bring the temperature down very quickly. You'll see pro chefs doing this all the time. Right. Good. We're almost there. You'll notice my burner's still on. Instead of fiddling with the burner, turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off, every time I step away from the stove, I just find a temperature I like. I leave it on. It might even be a little bit on the hot side, but it's fine. It's not going to catch anything on fire, whether it's gas or electric. I can leave that running while I'm in the process of cooking. It saves a lot of time, and for me, it's a lot more accurate than having to flip knobs every time I step away from the stove. Okay, I'm going to add my eggs directly to the center of the pan. I have a nice sizzle. I heard that. Got my spatula here. I'm just going to grab from the center. From the outside, I'm going to pull to the center, and then I'm going to let the eggs that are pooling on the outside run into the center of the pan. Right, that's going to give me a thin veneer of cooked egg. Okay. I need a little bit more heat, so I'm going to go ahead and get this on the stove. I'm going to take my oil just around the outside. Very, very small amount. I don't need much in there. You can do melted butter if you want. And I wouldn't recommend extra virgin olive oil for this application. The flavor isn't, to me, the flavor isn't fantastic with eggs. I want a neutral oil. I use canola oil. Okay. So the second the disc starts moving on you, even if it's really wet, the second the disc starts moving on you, it's time to flip. Okay. And the reason you want to flip as early as possible is so that you don't have browning. The idea here is not to have any browning, and that's done. Okay. The residual heat there, that's enough. Okay. Now here's the key to a good omelet. It's when you put this on the plate, palm up, you're going to roll right off of the plate. So I'm going to roll my omelet directly onto the plate off my pan. Look at that, beautiful. Okay. I'm not going to fiddle with it too much. If you get really lucky, you get that extra roll, that nice fold like so. Okay. So omelet, poached, over easy, crispy bacon in the microwave. Let me check out my potato hash. Let's see how that came out. Again, start. The item that takes the longest you're going to start with first. And it's important, if you can, cut your potatoes and everything the night before. If you know you're going to be making potato hash, hash browns, those kind of things, go ahead and get it all ready the night before. So that way you're not fiddling that much. You know, cutting the pepper and the onion and the potatoes the night before, it's still going to be nice and fresh. Trust me. You're not losing any quality that way. Let me grab another towel here. Maybe pull some eggs out. Maybe have your bacon on the sheet tray ready to go in the oven. Now this pan handle's hot. This is the universal sign in the kitchen for that's a hot pan handle. Because we always say that hot metal looks just like cold metal. Okay. So here's my potato hash, and it's gorgeous. It's got a nice color on the outside. I can smell, it's got a beautiful smell. Peppers and onions are nice, the dry spices. Give it a taste. See if the potatoes are cooked enough. Perfect. How long did that take? 25 minutes? It's so good. That's delicious. We got bacon, we got eggs. We got everything we need for brunch at home, breakfast for dinner. So this is great. I'm looking forward to tomorrow because we've got our spaghetti and meatballs. So make sure you tune in. We're trying to get on air every day around between 3 and 3:30. So come join me. Invite your friends. Do a Facebook watch party. I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is Chef Mark. Remember, I'm with Appliance Factory Mattress Kingdom. They're open. They're deemed an essential business, and they're doing business over the phone, online. You can even come in the store. They're following CDC guidelines, 6 feet of distance, and hand sanitizer, and really making sure that we're following social distancing guidelines. So I don't wish sudden appliance death upon anybody. However, if you need a new freezer, we're one of the few companies in Colorado that actually has them in stock. So we're delivering. You can come by the store and pick one up. And so if you're doing a little bit of stockpiling because you're at home, maybe you swung by a Restaurant Depot and you purchased 100 pounds of meat, you might need additional freezer. Come see my friends over at Appliance Factory. I'm Chef Mark. Thanks for tuning in.